So now that we played around with the draw rectangle function, let's go ahead and play around with the draw circle function and see if we can create any interesting patterns in the draw circle. And yeah, so you can see here at the bottom I'm calling it once, right? I'm using a random location, so maybe I could change that and make it not random. And I can maybe do 0, 0. I'll have it start at the center of the screen, and the amount of forward, let's maybe put 3 here, and let's run this and see what comes out. Okay, so that's what we get, and now we could play around with it. So let's go over here to our draw circle function definition right over here, and you can see it's very similar to my draw rectangle. Right? I have a pen up, a go to XY, a pen down, and then I draw my circle. So here's my for loop that draws the circle. So maybe what I can do here is, instead of turn left 2, I can, or maybe in my size I can use a counting variable as my size. So maybe I could say size plus equals 1, and let's see what happens when I do that. Whoa, gigantic. Okay, so maybe I could do minus equals 1. See if that causes anything to happen. Nope, doesn't cause the kind of behavior that I want. And maybe if I change up my left, okay, so maybe I could make a turn variable, set it equal to 2, and in here I can, instead of the number 2, I can use turn, and I could say turn instead of 2, I'm going to do plus equals 1. Let's see if that does anything. Okay, so now we get this swirly shape, but it's very small, right? So maybe we can increase its size by saying size is equal to 100, and run it again. Whoa, way too much. Let's see, size is equal to 10. Okay, so we get something kind of interesting now that we can control how much it moves forward and how much it turns. Okay, so let's see, maybe I can turn the size down, size minus equals 0.2. Let's try that. Oh, that looks weird. Maybe I could do size minus equals 0.1. Okay, so now I get more of a swirly shape. Right? And what if I wanted to kind of double it up now? What if I wanted to try to draw a mustache? Okay, so how would I do that? Well, I think I would do the exact same thing as what I did here, except I would do it in the other direction. So let me come over here and paste it. Right. So I'm resetting my turn variable to 2, resetting my size to 10, and then I am running my for loop. So before I do that, I need to move my turtle. So I need to do t.pen up, t.go to 0, 0, and then t.pen down. Yeah, and then I also need to make sure my turtle is facing the correct direction, because if he's not, then it's going to draw something strange. So let me see if I just run it without making him face in the right direction, and let's see what happens. Okay, so we get this, right? Because as the turtle's turning, his direction is changing, and then when he's placed here, we don't know what direction he's in, so he draws it in whatever direction he's in. Right? So maybe we can come over here, and before we can change his direction, so we could do it using t.set heading. And again, all of these functions, all of these different methods that we can use with the turtle are all found in the documentation for turtle. So maybe I could show you over here. We could type in, I could type in Python turtle, hit enter, and this is the documentation for turtle. And so if we click on that, then you can see here on the side we have a table of contents, and we have all of the different functionalities we can use with the turtle and with the window. Okay, so we could do circle, we could do backward, forward, undo, speed, all of these are here. So you can explore that and you can get a better feeling for what's possible. And so we could do set heading, and set heading, if you're not aware, uses 0 to point to the east, this way, uses 90 to point to the north, uses 180 to point to the west, and uses 270 to point south. So I want mine to point to the west, so I'm going to do 180. And another thing to consider is that if we go ahead and run it, let's see if it does what we want it to do. So it kind of does what we want it to do, but I want it to be a mustache, right? So how would I do that? Well, we could see here the turtle's actually turning to the left, so that's why we get this left curve, right? But if we turn to the right, then we'll get a right curve. So let's go ahead and turn this to the right instead, and we can run it. And we get this, right? We get a little mustache. And if I go ahead and change my size and maybe start it at 20, then I think we will get a bigger mustache. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, that looks kind of strange, right? But I guess the reason why it's kind of uneven is that we didn't start the other size at 20 as well. Right? Okay. So now we got this kind of mustache thing going on. And if we change the number of iterations that the circle is rotating to maybe 100, and 100, maybe it might look more like a mustache. Oh, still looks pretty mustachy, right? Maybe we could change this down to 60 and 60. And if I run that, then we get something like this, right? So anyways, you could go ahead and play around with all of these, right? You could play around with how much it moves forward. You could play around with how much it turns. You could, use counting variables to change the amount it turns and amount it moves forward. You can copy and paste to make it so that there's two curves, one going in one direction, one going in another direction, right? So go ahead and just play around with this, get an interesting pattern using the draw circle, and just see what happens.